We good, Stacy? Go ahead. Okay. All right, we would like to welcome everyone to our Kaysville Power meeting this evening. Appreciate everyone coming out today. As always, we like to open with our opening ceremonies. I'd like to ask Patrick to give the blessing this evening.
You bet. Our most kind and gracious Father in heaven, as we come before Thee at this time, we're indeed grateful for all that Thou hast blessed us with. We are grateful for this opportunity we have to be able to serve our fellow citizens of Kaysville. We would ask that we might be able to make those decisions that will be beneficial to the city and help all who live here. We thank Thee for the blessings that we have living in this great nation, having the opportunity to serve and have a free government. We're indeed grateful for all of these things, and we say these things humbly in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, and then we'll do introductions. We'll start with you, Jordan. Yep. Sorry.
Jordan Stevenson.
Patrick Hine.
Brock Thane.
Alan Farnes.
John Lovelace.
Strode DeCare.
Stacy Harward.
Gary Hatch.
Jeff Fillon.
Bruce Rigby.
Perfect. And every meeting that we meet, we just go back through our mission statements. I'll just read it here for us. The mission statement is Kaysville City Power and Light's mission is to provide reliable electricity with superior customer service at a competitive price to the residents and businesses in Kaysville City. So with that, we do have some members that their terms are up. And so with that, I know we have a special presentation that Mayor Katie Witt has put together. So with that, I'd like to welcome her up and to give those presentations.
All right. Thank you. I really want to give our appreciation to this body for the work that you've done. As I've been doing interviews this past week and talking to the people, it's amazing what you have accomplished to date. And so I have a lot of fun bragging on you and looking forward to what you do next. So I think that it's going to be one of those things that I'm hoping that you'll be a real asset to not only Kaysville, but to our power guys here, and be able to do outreach and some other things that will be a net benefit to Kaysville. All right. Patrick John, right? John Patrick Hine. Come on up.
Down there, Mayor.
Come on down. We appreciate you. Thank you for all the hours that you spent doing all of this. Yes.
I'll put this right behind my desk here.
Yeah. Right. All right. Then John Lovelace, come on down. Come on down. Trivia, my maiden name is Barker. Thank you. So I can't say come on down. Yeah. And we have one also for Sean, and I don't think he's here tonight, but we'll set that aside for him. But once again, thank you for the time and energy that you've put towards serving Kaysville, and look forward to seeing what comes next. Thanks.
Thank you. And thanks again, Patrick and John. We definitely are grateful and definitely appreciate your guys' willingness. We definitely would not be here without you guys, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so the next item is the approval of meeting minutes, and it's clear back to July 10th, so hopefully you guys have had a chance to review those, and I'd entertain a motion to approve them if you guys have. So
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So the main action item for today is just an update on the AMI policy. So I'm going to turn the time over to you, Bruce.
Okay. First of all, I want to introduce you to Jeff Fillen. He's been our meter reader for almost 26 years. Now he's transitioning into the meter system manager. He's training for that, and he's have him here tonight to introduce him to you guys, plus have him show you where we are on the AMI, and if you have any questions, he can show you. So I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he'll kind of go through the stats first, and then let you guys ask questions.
Okay, so I was thinking about this today. Bruce and I both started out as meter readers in Kaysville with a paper and pencil and a book, and we walked physically to every single meter, wrote it down on a piece of paper, came back to the office, the secretaries got the book, wrote it down. And now with this system, you can do. Collecting the meter reading is just one teeny piece of what this can do. It can do so many other things that it's unbelievable what it can do. Right now, this map, we'll be working on two different maps here. This map is what we are showing as the red are meters that haven't been changed yet. The green are meters that we have changed. So if we click on this table right here, this is going to show us in our entire system right here, we have 9,819 meters in our system right now. If we go back and we want to find out how many meters we have actually installed, we can do this, and it's going to tell us we have installed 2,132. So we are probably about 22% in 3 months. And those 3 months also have, Christmas and New Year's, so it's not the most optimum time to be changing meters. So I would kind of anticipate this to actually speed up just a little bit. I think most of us think we're probably ahead of schedule because when we first started this, I think we were thinking 2 to 3 years probably to get the entire city switched over. But at the rate we're going, I would say a year and a half is probably pretty ballpark. So we haven't really run into any real issues. We've had this whole system works kind of on a mesh network type of a deal. So the more meters you get out there, the better this system works. We had a couple of new meters we put down in the south part of the city, down here right on the edge where a new development is, and we weren't working in that area to put meters in, but we had, as we get new developments, we're putting these new meters on the temporaries. We're not going to be going back and changing out old meters, again. So we're just putting them on. So we had some meters out here that were kind of isolated, and there's a bluff right here, kind of a hill, and these meters were not talking. We weren't getting any. We waited for like 2 weeks, and they weren't talking to the collector. So we kind of switched and changed from putting in meters up here in this part of the city. We changed and started doing some down here. And as soon as we started putting meters out, then these meters started communicating, and they've all worked great. We haven't had any issue with any meter whatsoever, not one. So I would say we're pretty happy with Eaton, and their customer service has been really good. We can call them anytime. We've got a couple of contacts, and they, we're still trying to figure this out. We're, starting at the bottom and trying to work our way up. And there's so much information here that it's going to take a while to figure all this out. But when we have questions, we can call these guys. They get on the phone. They know this thing inside out. They can tell us, well, you need to go here, click here, do this, do this, do this, and then whatever it was is resolved. So I am really happy with like their customer service. We also have, so these guys go through, they get in a book and they just go through it and they do every meter they can. But when they come to one that they can't do, we have kind of a problem map, which is my map, because I'm kind of the one that goes back and tries to clean up these problems. And they're not really problems. They're just issues that we can't, for one reason or another, we can't change the meter right there, right now. So each one of these different colors is a different problem. Like these black ones need a 2S Elster meter. The green ones need a 320 meter. The blue ones have a display area. On some of our old meters, they have digital display and they've gone out. And the guys can't read them without a special tool, which I take out and I read it and then I change that meter. The net meters, we've changed a few net meters, but we didn't want to start doing a lot of them until we were sure that the billing was working. And we just got the first billing like a day ago or 2 days ago or something, and we haven't, the gals in the office haven't gone through and actually looked at that yet. So
She did.
She did?
She did right before I left today.
And did it work?
It looked like everything was working great.
So
Flawless.
we had, there's two different kinds of, we have the grandfathered net meters, and then we have the newer net meters, which are on a different schedule. So we're going, now that we know that they work, now we can go through and start cleaning some of those up, start putting those on. There's also some that have physical issues, like meter bases pulling away from the wall, or services touching the roof or something like that. Those are also flagged. No access to meter, like locked gates or whatever. So those are the maps that we work off of to actually change the meters. So have you got any questions on any of that?
Pull up any one of them and show them the detail that we can get off each meter. Show them.
Okay, that'll be in Yukon. So if we remove that, then we can, that's back to showing the entire city. And those blue things are the gateways. Those are the collectors. We can, let's see.
And are all of those installed already?
Yes.
Yeah, those are all up, and all of them were. And we have been getting errors because a couple of them hadn't been, there's a low threshold on them. Like if they don't have 25 nodes reporting to them, we get a warning. And just this week, we finally got the last gateway that has enough nodes that we got rid of the warning. So we finally got rid of that warning because we got enough nodes out there.
So how many gateways are there?
There are 8. Here they are right here. There's one at Hess Farms, 450 West Mutton Hollow, one at King Clarion, which is actually on Crestwood Road. There's one at City Hall, right on top of the building, one at Burton Lane Sub, one at the Operations Center down at the shop down by the mill, Schick Lane Sub, and at Smith and Sunset. And each one of those collectors is, I believe, didn't they say they collect, their limit is like about 1,500? I think they told us that. So what, but they have them, the optimum is really like less than 1,000. But in case another gateway goes down, those meters will look for another gateway to go to. So you try to keep them low so that there's room for more meters to come in. So if one gateway does go down, they can find another gateway and unload their information. Okay, so now we'll switch to Yukon, which is the name for the software that actually runs the whole system. Yukon is the thing where you can get all kinds of information, you can do the commands. Yukon is the thing that makes everything run the way it's supposed to run. Gateways are the collectors. They get the information. Then the gateways send the information here to Yukon. And then Yukon compiles the information, puts it where it's supposed to go, and then we can read it right here from Yukon. So if you go right here, it says right here 2118. That's telling us how many meters are reading right now. It's also got an expected, and we have this every once in a while because when we put new meters out, it takes them a while. They talk to each other, and sometimes they take a while to start building their little neighborhood. And if they don't report in a week, they come up on this expected list. If they don't report in a couple of weeks, they go to an outdated list. And if they go longer than that, they go to this unreported, and that's when we need to go out and find out what the problem is. Because you can't, it's not an instantaneous thing, like you put a meter out there and all of a sudden you're going to see it here. They don't work that way. They have to figure out the best way to get to the gateway, and sometimes it takes a day or two or even a week before they figure out, okay, this is the way I'm going to go to gateway. So you have to be a little bit patient with them. You kind of want it to just be instantaneous, but it doesn't work that way. So if we click on here, now you've got a list of all the meters. There's just, all the meters are lined up here. They put them in order of the address, like these are all starting with ones, but there's lots of different ways where you can select certain meters or groups of meters, something like that. So if we just click on a meter here, this is pretty new. Each one of these dots is a day's worth of readings. So you can see on the 6th, this must have probably been put on like maybe the 5th or something. So on the 6th, it started communicating with the gateway. And it used, that day, it used 11 kilowatt hours. And then it goes down, then it goes up. So, and you can click on these things here, and you get different, you can get the voltage, you can get demand, you can get delivered kilowatt hours. There's a lot of things you can do right there. Over here, it gives you the usage reading, and if this is where a lot of times the ladies with the secretaries, if they have a move in or move out, they need a reading, that day or whatever, they can click right here, and it's reading the meter right now. It just read the meter. That took about 2 seconds. So what happened was this sent out a signal to the gateway. The gateway went to the meter. It came back, and then it came back here. And that took, instead of having me get in my truck, run who knows where, get a reading, come back here, you can do it from right here, and it takes 2 seconds.
And I can't remember, can you shut off from here too? I can't remember if it has that.
Right here, there's a disconnect or a connect or a query. These all come, the default is that it says disconnect status here and it says unknown. They all come that way. If you want to know whether it's on or not, if you push query right here, it's going to tell you whether it's connected or not, actually. But so there it says query successful, and this is going to change to green right there. So it says, yeah, I'm connected. What you have to do, it takes a little bit of time. It's not really a matter of just pushing this and it's going to happen. You have to put these, the ones that you want to either disconnect or put a limiter on, which we do in the wintertime. We put limiters on them, and you can also do that from here. You have to put them in a group, and then you have to actually configure the meter so that it will do what you're telling it to. Then you have to send that out and actually make that configuration work. So it takes, if you're just doing one, it might take 5 minutes or maybe less. But if you're doing 10 or 20 or something, it could take a day for the configuration to go out there. And then once that happens, then you have to send it to command to actually do that. Then it's ready to do it. Then you can come back here and you push this, and it will do it instantaneously. But you have to prepare it before it will do it. It doesn't want you. I think what they do, why they made that is so that somebody doesn't just accidentally push these buttons and start disconnecting people. You got to go through several steps, and of course it's. Are you sure you want to do this? Now this is your last chance. Is this really what you want to do?
It's like Microsoft, like when you're downloading stuff. Are you sure you really want to do this right now? Right.
I'm going to do this right now. Is this what you want? Yeah, it does that.
So, quick question on this. So ultimately, I mean, when we end up deploying this across the city and stuff, and everything's done here in the next 6 months or so, and everybody's metered across the city, who ultimately will have access to this program? I mean, is it just going to be city staff and folks here, or is it? I mean, are the individual residents themselves going to, or? I mean, I can't imagine that we're going to let residents.
They're not. They won't have access to this.
No,
and
right.
not everybody will have access to like the disconnect stuff.
Right.
There's going to be like maybe 5 or 6 people that have access to that.
Right.
There'll be a few more that have access to all of it because, like Holly, who does the billing, she needs to have all this stuff, but some of the other secretaries that are doing other things,
right,
they won't have this on their computer.
So I guess from, I'm assuming then, so it's just going to essentially be city staff that's going to have an overview on this and be able to maintain it and work with it and do things along those lines.
And some of a few of the more advanced things, there's only going to be a few people that will be able to actually do.
Right, where you're going to really be able to go in and screw around with things where it could really cause heartache and discontention.
Because you don't want people screwing around.
No, no, exactly. Right, exactly.
Yeah, we were told a few times, now, don't do this.
Don't be doing that, right.
This is the one thing, you can do whatever you want, but don't do that.
Right, because you're screwing with people right now. Like who's ever at 1016 Southview Crest Lane, they don't even know what's going on right now.
No, they don't.
Hey, you guys are going dark in 2 seconds, man.
Just read their meter.
All right.
So will the customers have access to their usage information?
Yeah, that's a good question, Alan.
That's a whole separate system. Once it's all done, then we'll have to figure out that's a whole separate management system.
Okay.
They can see their reading on their meter still. There's still a reading out there. If they want to keep track of their readings,
But the daily stuff you're showing us is not
now.
available right now. But
not right now.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
Possibly in the future.
we're barely able to get it up and look at it and figure out what it's saying.
But I believe that if we do that, it's an added expense. It's a different program that we will do, but they can come and retrieve information from here at City Hall anytime. So if they want to say, okay, I want my usage here, right? They can come in here and get it that way. It's not at home on their phone.
Yeah,
not
that's
yet.
one thing we definitely want to look into when we get to that point when they're all installed.
well, maybe there's a fee
There is a fee, there's additional cost.
Yeah.
It's a different program, so it's a fee and everything.
And if that's the case, it could be passed on to the customer. If you
Correct.
want access to this, it's another.
You're going to have to pay for an additional.
Yeah, $1 or $2 a month or whatever.
In fact, we talked to a company when we were looking at the AMI stuff, a company that just does that for $2 a month. They collect all the information and then, give that to them too. So that, that'd be a way where we wouldn't have to front the, pay all the money.
The expense, right.
Keep up those systems, so.
And remind me again, Bruce, so we're looking at, and I know you guys said this earlier, and forgive me, so we're about 20% into this right now. 6 months or so, is that what we're looking at? Or,
Well, we've been doing it for 3 months.
Right, I
So-
know, right, okay, so you've got 20% done, okay, all right, so we're looking at about a
So
year.
about 7% a month right now,
That's
about.
what, okay, all right, all right.
Oh, go ahead, Gary. Tell them why they're getting so many done now.
Yeah, the reason why they're getting so many done now, we got to consider our workload. Our workload's down a little bit.
Right.
During the winter time.
Sure.
So that way we can get more guys on it.
Right.
Once our workload in the summertime picks up,
This is
might
gonna
stay the
drop
same,
off.
it might drop off a
Sure,
little bit.
okay.
However, I will start having more time to change meters because there'll be less meters for me to have to go out there and chase around to, so I can kind of start doing more of it.
It can't be that labor-intensive of a process.
It's
is it?
pretty fast.
Is it? That's kind of what I thought. Okay,
it's pretty
right.
fast.
Okay, all right.
Unless you run into dogs or something.
Well, sure,
Kind
right,
of slows
yeah.
you down. So if you go to View All here, under these meter readings, here's where you can see, now I'm still not sure what this blink count is. I don't know.
There's different parameters you can set in there, on blinks, outages.
So you've got maximum voltage, minimum voltage, the demand, delivered kWh per interview, temperature of the device. We get a warning if a device goes above, I think, 180. We get a warning on here that says, hey, this is out of parameters here. You might want to check it out. When one does lose power, we also get a warning, loss of all current. We actually had, there's one on here that is reverse aggregate, reverse phase A. We actually had, when about the first day, one of the crews actually put a meter on upside down, and then they left it. They didn't catch it. They left it. And so I was sitting here, and I kept seeing these orange boxes here that said reversed phase A and reversed phase C, and I was like, what is that? And finally, we went out there and looked. We thought maybe it was a disconnected meter that had been disconnected for a long time because there was kind of one in the area. But finally, we went over there and looked, and they had put one of the new meters on upside down.
That kind of thing can get you tagged with a nickname that you never get away from.
Right?
It has.
Yeah. It has. Yeah. So you can see there's all kinds of
We won't say what the nickname is.
things you can do on that. Yeah.
How you change a meter.
Yeah, that'll be off record.
So when we change a meter, let's see. Let's go to this map. So when we change one, what we do, we'll just pick one here. So what we do is they're out there in the field and they have this map. They come to a red dot. They're going to change the meter. The meter has a latitude and a longitude. It has the address, the name, the account number. This field is blank, new meter installed. We change that to yes. We have to put who installed it. We have the old serial number, so it's already in the system. So we check and make sure this old serial number is actually the serial number that we're changing. So we verify that we're changing the right one. Then we put the final read in. Then we put the new serial number, the date installed, the book that it's coming out of, what class of meter it is. Then there's a couple of fields down here homeowner repair needed. So if there was something that needed to be taken care of, they can put a note in here. They actually have some notices that they have put some out, but that's not quite gone like we thought it would. There's a problem field, there's a note field, and then we have to we take a picture with our phones. This is all done on our phones. Now, this one is a little bit hard to see, but so we take a picture of the old meter, and you can just barely make out the meter. Now, this is a kind of a bad one, but you can just barely make out the meter number there. And then this is an old one that's got dials on it. So anybody want to take a stab at what that reads? It's a test. Okay, we'll go to that. That one's kind of ugly looking. So then we take a picture of the new one. And there you got the meter number, and you verify that there's a new meter on there. And then after we get that done, there's a spot on the phone, on our phones in this app, a little check mark. We get that done, then we click that check mark, and it starts updating, and it takes about 10 seconds maybe, and it's done. So then it changes it from red to green, and we're done with that one, and we move on to the next one. There's one other thing that's, let's see, pretty cool with this. You can actually see right here on the main page, it tells you which gateway this particular meter is going to. It's going to the City Hall gateway, and it's got 2 hops, which means it's using one other meter to get up here to the City Hall. They're always looking for the strongest signal to get back to whatever gateway they're going to. And sometimes they don't pick the closest gateway. Sometimes they pick a gateway that you would think, why in the world are you going clear up there? We have some on the west side of town that are going up to the Crestwood gateway. And it's because they're picking up the strongest signal from another meter that's communicating with that one, and they're saying, okay, that's the strongest way I can get up there. That's the way they go. They don't go for closest or line of sight, anything like that. They go for strongest signal. And a lot of them don't make sense, but
then it changes.
And it changes. We've got some down there that go from, about every 2 or 3 days, they go from the Chick substation to Crestwood. I mean, 2 opposite ends of the town. And I don't know why they do that. And as we get more meters in, they're constantly looking to improve the way to get to a gateway. So that's one of the reasons why they change too, is because they're always looking for new and better ways to get to the gateway. So it changes. So if you go up here to Actions and you do Map Network, there's the meter right there. Now if we click on Primary Route, this is telling us this is how this meter, which is right here, this is how it's communicating with this gateway down here. The meter is going from right here over to this meter, which has a really strong signal to this gateway. So it's using this meter as its board to get over to this gateway. And then you can click on this, Neighbors, and it will show you all the meters that it is communicating with. And it must be communicating with a few because it's taken a while. So now you can see it's actually talking to all these meters. And these lines, depending on the thickness of the line, the thicker the line, the stronger the signal. So some of these are pretty skinny lines. That means it's not a real good, strong signal. What they do is they send out, what do they call them? They send out samples. They'll send out samples to see how strong their signal is. And if they aren't getting a strong signal and don't communicate enough, they have these real skinny lines. The more they can communicate and the stronger the signal, the thicker the line. So it decided, even though, I mean, you'd think if it was going down here somewhere, it would use one of these meters over here to get there, but it actually goes away from the gateway and then goes to the gateway. Because it figures, well, this is the best way for me to get there. And until we get, maybe there's some other meters that are going to be installed up here, and it might change and say, oh, this is a better way to get there. Or it might even say, well, I think I'm going to go up to this other gateway now because I've got a better signal over this way. So it'll change.
Can we see the net meter that you have?
Let's see, where's the net meter at? Okay, I know where one is. We'll go to this map right here. Might take me a minute to get there. Yeah. Well, the net meters are marked that aren't done, but the ones that are done are not marked. Let's see, it's over here somewhere. Not him. Not him. That one right there. Okay, so if we copy that serial number and go over to the Yukon, put that serial number in here, push enter. There it is right there.
Now click on the view all over there and show them that they can see the received and the delivered readings.
There's your net KWH received is right here. Right there.
So those are 3 readings you're showing.
Right here.
And then you put in each folder, what readings you want it to input into the billing system,
Yeah, they're going to read all of these the delivered, the received, the net. They're going to read all of that, but some of them, the older meters are just going off of the net. The newer ones are going up, so we have to put them in 2 different groups, and then we tell those groups, this group, we want you to go into the billing with just the net reading. So into the billing, just the net reading goes. In the other group, we tell them to just take the received delivered, and those received delivered go into the billing. That's how we keep them separated. They get all the readings, but we tell it what to send to the billing. That's how we keep it separated.
And is that an Excel file that's just passed to billing, or is this software connected to that? I can't remember.
Yukon goes directly into Kaysville.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how.
Our GIS guy takes all that information off those maps and then downloads it right to Kaysville, and it's been working.
Yeah, Jordan, once a week is what he's doing now. Once a week, he will, all the meters that the guys do in a week, which is sometimes, I think it's like 300 they did it last week or something, but he will, once they do that out in the field, Yukon doesn't, they're communicating, those meters are actually talking to a gateway, but Yukon doesn't know it yet. So when Jordan uploads that information from what they've done, he'll upload that, and then that's when Yukon sees them and starts processing the information. So until Jordan actually uploads that thing into our system, Yukon's not really able to do anything with the information because it can see it, but it doesn't really know where it's at until Jordan puts it there.
And then just waits for it's still collecting the information.
Yeah.
So we install production meters as well, right? Are they part of this? Are you collecting that as part of AMI as well, or is it just the? Okay, so is there a production line on here somewhere?
They don't show up on there. They're in a different file because they're not a billed meter.
Okay, but we do collect data
We're
related to that.
getting pictures and all that stuff. So that eventually, if the wrecks are ever worth anything, then we'll have that information.
We'll have it.
Any other questions?
I really like the idea that in the future that the customer could have access to their own data just for their own. In fact, that could be a benefit to the utility if people are looking at their data and they could use that as a tool to help themselves find waste and save energy, and that could help the power company too. So I really would like to pursue that in the future if we can.
Another thing that over Christmas there's a parameter that we've set of 400 kilowatt hours in a day. Is that what it is? And somebody actually exceeded that.
Wow.
And we got a warning on here that said, "Hey, somebody's using the slope." There's a slope warning, I think, and it went up higher than what it should have, and so it flagged us, and we went and looked at it, and you could tell, I think it was the day after Christmas or something. There was just skyrocketing. But Bruce said, well, now this is another tool, because if you look at the transformer out there in that area, if you have that house and maybe another couple of big houses that are going to be using that much power, is our transformer big enough, or do we need to upgrade that transformer? So that's another way this thing can help alleviate, voltage problems and transformer problems. You can actually see what's going on. You can see, wow, this is getting close to our limit here.
What are they doing? Are they Bitcoin mining or something? Or what were they doing? That's
we can't tell.
Well, I know, right? No, I get that, right? I know,
and we don't care what they're doing.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's crazy. But to John's point, though, I think, I as a consumer, in fact, all of us here are consumers of Kaysville Power. I would be willing to pay an additional few dollars a month or so to have that information at my fingertips and to have that ability to, log in and be able to see what I'm doing and, my consumption and what's going on and what's happening at certain points of the day or, throughout the course of a month, and be able to kind of, use those metrics and those numbers and stuff. For a couple of dollars, that's a pretty nominal cost, I think, to, be able to have a lot of really powerful information at your fingertips to, say, hey, I can cut back here, I can do this here, whatever. It's pretty cool. So,
one of the reasons why we did this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Flexibility to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. Right.
One really cool thing was a couple weeks ago when Bountiful Power knocked out the 138 and there was an outage. We got emails instantaneously about power outages. Gary and Brett were out of the substation before we ever got any calls.
Right.
Wow.
See, and that's such an improvement. Yeah. Right.
Our power never went off.
Yours did. You knocked everybody else in Davis County off.
Maybe.
Sorry, Alan. I had to get that jab in there. Let's see. Did you have any trouble in the east wind? I heard you did. We didn't have any.
We just had a car hit a pole.
You can't avoid that, huh?
No, that always seems to be a problem. So.
Another thing that is nice about this, being able to disconnect from the office. You don't have to go out and confront an angry homeowner.
You can do it remotely. That's nice.
You can do it, they don't know where it's coming from, and you do it from,
Oh, they know where it's coming from, I'm sure.
not physically.
Right, yeah, right. Not
Yeah, it's
physically.
coming from the man, but they don't know where the man is at that very instant.
Right,
Yeah. I like that part.
yeah, that's good, right.
So I,
Deal.
I did put on, and I'll just kind of throw this plug out there for you should have got this printout for the AMI meters, and I put on there a customer calculator, and I just added an interface, so we'll update that. But right now, I know as we move to time of day usage, just to add to the customer interface, I know it's something that we talked about that, before we implement any billing, that we wanted to do a calculator, so the customer can understand that transition. But I just added interface, so
Yeah.
just as it's not an agenda item or anything, but if there are items that you want to add, just throw them on that list and ping me or any of us, and we'll just keep adding to that list and bringing them in as topics.
All right. Good deal.
So anyway.
Well, I mean, this is exciting. I mean, hell, this is definitely a step in the right direction, without question. I think it's a good thing, and people often wonder, how does the, from my perspective of where I'm at with this, and people often, email and question and stuff, well, how's the city spending their money, and what are we doing with things, and how are we, why are we, I mean, this is a very prudent use of city resources, without question. I mean, I can't, and people are going to get pissed off about anything, and it's going to happen all the time, and you're never going to be able to please anybody, and like we're trying to bring fiber to the home right now, as a lot of you guys know, and we're running into folks, my phone and my email and stuff are lighting up with people that are like, why are we doing this? And I'm thinking, why aren't we doing this? So it's, something like this where it seems so commonsensical to, to deploy something like this across the city, and it always dumbfounds me and stuff when we run into resistance from it, and folks that are upset and mad and thinking, well, we can spend money in different ways, and honestly, I can't think of a better way to spend money, to be honest with you, with something like this. It's going to reduce power outage times. It's going to make things more efficient. It's going to make things more effective. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that's what we want out of our city and municipal government is, to have it run more effectively and more efficiently. And by deploying something like this, that's what we're doing, and so, kudos to Kaysville for moving into this direction. So, yeah. Good deal.
Any other questions for Jeff? You can, if you think of any later, email me or whatever we can.
We could text him tonight at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I know.
So as part of as we move, it's kind of the same thing. We want to bring this before you guys because we want to. We've talked with the lawyer and everything too on this, but had some cities that chose to do some opt-out options if people didn't want the AMI. Gary and I talked Shane, talked to the mayor, like I said, to the city lawyer and stuff, and we don't believe we should offer any opt-out option. There's no reason, there's no logical reason for them to do it. So we want to bring that before you guys, and then create a policy that states that through the city council, get that passed, so that there's no questions, no gray areas on that. So,
Right. Have you had anyone ask if that's available?
Yep, had a couple people ask.
And I'm sure we'll have many more too. I mean, as this gets deployed throughout the city.
You're,
I mean,
you're definitely going to run
absolutely.
into some. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of it and try to get it, at the beginning here and get that policy down so that you just say, sorry, if you want power, you have to have the, this meter on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's not unrealistic either. I mean, I don't. Again, I mean, I don't see an issue with that at all, honestly. And I'm sure that none of us here, or none of us. I don't know. I mean, I don't see why you would want to, You know, I mean, there's no real cost involved in it, you know, I mean, really, at the end of the day, so, you know, so it only makes things better, so, but.
Thinking about playing the devil's advocate here, I think about sometimes people have unfounded fears that are very real to them. Like some people refuse to have Wi-Fi in their house because they're worried about the radiation or maybe not a microwave oven or something like that. Maybe they're concerned about something like that. So I don't know. If we did want to give them a loophole, maybe we could say, yeah, you can opt out, but we have to have someone manually come to the house, and it's an additional $20 a month or something. You know, figure out the actual cost of not having them be in the consensus, and I don't know, or maybe that's just throwing it out if we want.
Thought about that, but then, like I say, there's no. I mean, if there was any foundation or basis for it, then maybe. But it's so low,
right?
So below the FCC limits that it's there's no reason for it. There's no logical reason for it.
The meters that we have on now emit
Yeah.
just as much or more, don't they?
Yeah,
The meters that are
they've
on
already
there
had them
right
on there.
Right now.
So there's not.
So this is actually less energy than what's on there now.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a dichotomous thought process, though, really, at the end of the day, for folks to think, well, wait a minute, you know, how in the hell can something that's like manually read be, you know, less or more than something that can be read from, you know, that's operating on a microwave or a Wi-Fi kind of
old
thing.
technology.
Right, right,
Old technology. That's
Right.
what we say.
right. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
And I think you said it, Stress said it right. I think that, you know, it really ties in. So I'm in favor of the not letting people opt out. Reliable electricity, superior customer service, competitive price, right? It's in the direction of our mission statement. And I think, you know, what your
absolutely.
comments were
Yeah.
dead on. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, all the stuff that we're talking about is really our goal. So are you hoping for a motion, or what are you hoping for on that right now?
We'd like to get you guys to make a motion so that we can take that to the city council. And, you know, as to John's point, you know, some people are, you know, afraid of, they don't have Wi-Fi in their house or what things. But it's so funny. We bought a little cheap RF meter, and I'll tell you what, you can't get away from that stuff because, you know, I'm in my office around my equipment and stuff, and then I walk outside. Anywhere you're at, there's
it's
there's
all over.
RF
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, there is,
And
yeah.
and with these new small cell towers going in with 5G, it's going to
all
be
over the place, yeah.
it's going to be a whole lot more than what we're doing. So, and it's still below the FCC limits. So,
I have one of those little meters as well, and someone was saying, "Oh, there's electric cars. There's huge currents and radiation from the electricity." And so I actually, let's just measure it and see. And I romped on it, couldn't detect anything. But then when I slid across the seat, the static electricity just pegged the meter. So that was a higher risk than.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls to go measure EMF and RF. So anyway, yeah, that, like I say, if there was a reason or for it, then I'd say yes, but there's not. So.
Well, I'd like to get this, I mean, from a city council standpoint, I'd like to get this before us as soon as possible, in the next month or so, next couple of cycles, and get this passed and get it under our belt and be able to move forward on it. So, yeah, I'm absolutely all in favor of, some kind of a, positive motion to get this moving in the right direction and go from there. Absolutely. So,
Do you have some proposed wording for the policy?
No, don't have the wording, but that's the state that there will be no opt-out option. That's the wording.
Can you put something together so we can make a motion on it, maybe next month? Would that?
Just write it down there.
Yeah, 'cause you need the exact wording. It's just saying there will be no opt-out option. Is that? I mean, there's no gray area there, is there?
Well,
I'd like to not wait another month, but
So what you're saying is
how about? Well, yeah, I don't know.
Well, another month, there'll be another 400 or 500 meters out there.
So you're saying no opt-out option for AMI meters. That's
Right.
the
End
language
of
you're
story.
okay with? Let's just say that.
Okay.
So if someone I'd entertain someone to make a motion for no opt-out options for AMI meters?
I'll motion it. I'll move to motion that there's no gray area, no way for a citizen that's on Kaysville City Power to opt out of having an AMI meter installed on their home.
Someone second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
There you go. So we'll look for that in the next, probably not the 17th, I'm assuming, but probably first meeting in February. I think
As soon as possible.
Yeah, we can push to get that done. Yeah, absolutely. All right, good deal.
Okay, any other comments before we do a call to the public? Okay, I'd like to welcome you guys to come up, ask questions, comments, concerns.
Jokes? Nothing? All right.
Okay.
Gonna say, I wouldn't be disappointed if you didn't get up.
My name is Brig Lewis, and when they talk about the opt-out, a lot of the people who worry about that, I don't think they know what they worry about. I don't know if they realize what they should be concerned about. There's certain frequencies that affect different parts of the body in different ways. If they knew what they were, they would have a valid reason to talk to you about. And just as a side note, I designed radar systems for the U.S. Navy for 13 years. We designed big ones, not little ones. We were dealing with megawatt transmitter outputs, and we were also aware what the Russians were doing, and it was interesting to note that what our government determined were the safe levels, even though the Russians never did seem to care for the safety of people, their levels were roughly 1/10 of what ours were. And different frequencies create different issues. For years, if my wife was going to be pregnant, we wouldn't allow a microwave in the house because they leak like a sieve. And there's enough energy in there to create genetic issues. Okay, I'm aware of that. Probably the worst thing that you're going to deal with in the world around you right now is the lights coming off of your computer screens. There's a blue light that's in the background that comes off of some of those that are bright. And those will interfere with your ability to sleep. That's why they tell you you should never let your kids carry one of those screens to bed with them. That thing should be off at least 30 minutes so it doesn't interfere with your sleep. Okay, so there's a number of issues that float out there, and there will always be someone who will say, oh no, it doesn't cause any issues at all. But I'm not sure. I just say I don't know. But that's all I wanted to say to you is it's not as cut and dried, but when somebody says, oh, I see something. On our one radar system, we had a 12-foot dish. We had a 1 megawatt transmitter behind the dish. And there were some people there that were working out there on the radar site, and we had several radars. And they were concerned that they were being radiated. So they brought a gentleman out with his little wand, and he waved it around the edges of this 12-foot dish. And he got no reading at all. He got him a ladder, a wooden ladder, not a metal one, a wooden ladder. He climbed right up in the middle of the dish, and it's generating a megawatt of power. Well, Some of the Navy guys told me that they cooked a seagull at a quarter mile with less power than that in flight. But he was on his ladder. He couldn't see anything. Then one of them said, maybe we're in the too near the radar. Maybe we've got to get into the far field region of the antenna. They got back 1,000 feet and it pegged their meter. Okay. So it isn't as cut and dried as we think. And you're going to find people that are worried about it. Am I concerned? To some extent. To some extent, but I can't tell you what numbers I would be concerned about. I don't know the frequencies that I would be concerned about, and I don't know the power levels. We never worried about the old picture tubes that were this long, the big TVs. The bigger the screen, the longer the tube. Those generated an enormous amount of X-rays. If you got too close to those, it could cause eye problems and other kinds. Anyway, that's all.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So again, just a reminder, we will have the February meeting. And if you guys want to just email us any agenda items that we want to put on there, if there's anything that's urgent, we'll get it on here.
So we're looking at first Tuesday in February, which
yes.
is, what date is that? Do a date for that.
Let's see.
We'll pull out our phones. Gary, who's on?
It is the 5th.
All right.
Yeah, the 5th.
Got it. And maybe on that February, so 5th, 6th, maybe on that February 7th City Council meeting, we'll have things approved and move forward from there. So, cool.
And I like to press Stacy on how fast she can get things in on her side and give us as much time as possible. So thank you, Stacy.
Yeah.
Just covering for myself, yeah. But usually it's about a week prior is when we need all those. So
Like making Stacy work.
yeah, that's really what it is.
I've known Stacy forever. It's all good. Good deal. Oh, and let me just add too. And I think this, I don't need to keep. How we need to go, but so the mayor and I also, the mayor alluded to it. Actually, we've interviewed 7 folks. There's 3 seats open. We've selected 3 folks out of those 7. So at the February 5th meeting, we'll have 3 new commissioners here and stuff, and those will be a consent item on the 17th of January at our city council meeting, and get those folks put into place and seated, and then have them show up on the 5th of February. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
That's
We're
where we're at.
excited to see the new members. So
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we had a really great group of folks, and it's exciting. So it's looking forward to moving forward with this. So there you go.
great. Okay. Well, if there's no other comments, then I'd entertain a motion to end the meeting.
I'll move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.